Okay, what you're saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. And today we have another weekly Forex analysis. Now, before we get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a like. And whilst you're at it, join my Telegram channel, which I'll leave a link in the description, because I'll be dropping a lot of regular updates on potential trading setups throughout the week. And also follow me on my Instagram. Again, I'll leave the information in the description, because I'll be giving a lot of tips and tricks to help you grow as a Forex trader. But like I said, today we have the weekly Forex analysis. So let me stop talking and let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we're going to check out Euro USD. Okay, so for Euro USD, we're going to start on the monthly chart. And as you can see, we have these two trend lines here giving us that wedge pattern. Last month, we had that break of the upper trend line with this candle. But for us to be confirmed that there's an actual break of this trend line, probably need to see another bullish candle to the upside to confirm that. And then again, if we get another bearish candle just closing right back in, then we could be treating that as a false breakout. But again, we'll look to see what happens in the upcoming weeks. For last week, well, this week actually, we had that doji. So we obviously have that bearish pressure in the market coming in around here, where we have those 2 wicks to the upside. So we could be looking at, on the daily, we could be looking at a swing back down as people start to take profits from this long move to the upside. Obviously, it's very impulsive, so we are expecting USD to continue to the upside, but we are expecting a move back down. It could be all the way down to here. If it is, if price does move all the way down to here, then we could be looking for price to carry on in that upwards trend. But we are expecting a swing back down, and then possibly USD to follow that upwards trend back to the upside. But this area is looking where the market is failing to break through, so we could be seeing a move to the downside from this area. So we'll be looking for next week to see if that happens in the early stages. Now we're going to take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY, we're going to start with the weekly chart, and I've been talking about this descending triangle pattern for some time now, and price is struggling to break through this weekly resistance at the bottom here, and we have this trend line down with multiple touches of price. So we're expecting price to eventually break through this trend line and make that move to the upside to go and hit this level around here and go test that monthly trend line. So if we dive down to the daily chart, you can see that we have that impulsive candle last week, and you can see price was retracing, and then on Friday we have that another impulsive candle to the upside. So you could be looking at USD JPY to rise next week, and you could be looking for entries on the lower time frames, hourly, 4 hourly, to get in some pullbacks to continue this to the upside. We still haven't broken this daily resistance yet, but we had that reaction to the downside. Now you can see I have that bullish candle back up, so we're favoring a break of that daily resistance, since we are coming from that weekly support area and the higher time frame takes priority. So coming from that weekly support, so expecting a break of that daily resistance to get that move to the upside. So we could be looking for entries there if we have a break of that resistance, and then as price retest, if it does, we can look for entries there. But we are expecting USD JPY to rise next week. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD, we're going to start with the weekly, and as you can see on the weekly, we're in an uptrend in the market, and we have this ascending channel here where price is making those higher highs and those higher lows. So expecting prices to go make a higher low soon and go and make that move to the upside. Of course, if we have a break of this level, we could be looking at USD CAD falling back down, but we're expecting USD CAD to rise. On the weekly chart, you can see that we had this pin bar, this doji with the wick to the downside. It was breaking support, and then by the end of the week we had that wick with price rejecting back to the upside. And on the daily chart, we were talking about this level of the market here for potential double bottom, and as you can see, we had the break to the downside. Now price is closed back inside that support, so it looks like it was a false breakout. Again, we'll be looking to see in the early hours and days of next week to see if this was a false breakout and we start to get that move to the upside. But we could be seeing USD CAD make a move to the upside from this area in the market. which is a strong chance because we had that false breakout, probably knock a few stop losses off, and now we can see USD CAD rise to the upside. But that is what we're expecting for USD CAD. Now we're going to move on to Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP, you can see on the daily chart we had this upwards trend in the market with this trend line. We had a break of that trend line a few weeks ago now, and price has just been retesting that same trend line. It got to this level around here, and we saw that rejection to the downside. It wasn't very impulsive, it wasn't very strong, so you can see that we're starting to run out of steam, and a bit of bullish pressure is coming to the market, and it's slowly trickling back up. So we could be seeing another move back to the upside to go retest this area up here before we get that move to the downside. But from a weekly's perspective, we can see that we're in this area in the market where price is struggling to break. You can see that it's actually our resistance quite well here with that wick to the upside. Again, a lot of wicks around there, and again we had this wick a few weeks ago. Price was all up here, got rejected and closed below that resistance. So it is a very strong weekly resistance area in the market. So we are expecting Euro GBP to respect that resistance level and have that move to the downside. But on the daily perspective, we haven't got that impulsive move. We haven't got that strong confirmation that Euro GBP is going to make that move to the downside. So you could be seeing Euro GBP make that move back up to gather a bit more bearish momentum before we start to see that downwards trend commence. So for next week, we'll be looking to see what happens with Euro GBP. We could be expecting that move to the upside. If we do, we'll be looking for selling opportunities around there, but nothing's quite clear with Euro GBP just yet. Next up is NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD, we're going to start with the weekly, and you can see that in the downwards trend in the market with this trend line. Price is making those there's lower highs and there's lower lows. So you can see we have a test of the trend line there, another one there, and we've had multiple here. So expecting price to respect this trend line and make a move to the downside to continue that weekly downtrend. And on the daily chart, you can see that we've had the move to the downside, but we've come up against this daily trend line here, where we can see we have these previous touches. So we're expecting some reaction. As you can see, we had that impulsive candle to the upside. The next candle did come back down, but again, we want to be seeing price go and break this trend line, which is what we're expecting to go and continue that weekly trend. But for NZD CAD, we are expecting a move to the downside, and if we do get a move, you can be looking for price having those pullbacks, finding some resistance, and continue to the downside. So that's what we'll be looking from. That's what we'll be looking for in terms of the lower time frames to get into short trades on the NZD CAD front the next coming weeks. Okay, next up is AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD, we're going to start on the monthly chart, and you can see that we're in a downtrend in the market for this pair. We've got this descending channel pattern where price has now made a fourth test of the upper trend line here, and you can see we had one test here, a second and a third, and now we've got a fourth. So we're expecting price to respect that trend line and make a move to the downside. On the weekly chart, if I zoom out, you can see that we're in a potential place where price could reverse. You can see this area of the market acted as support. We can see price came down, rejected, back up, rejected, and broke through, and now price is back at that same place. We're expecting it to act as resistance and make that move to the downside. So if we jump to the daily, you can see price is starting to slow down, more bearish pressures coming into the market. It's not really moving to the upside for a lot of strength. So we're expecting price, since it's now hit this area, we've got a few bearish candles indicating to us that potential reversal is happening soon. So you could be seeing from next week AUD USD fall back to the downside and maybe start a new trend. Okay, so let's take a look at GBP NZD. Okay, so for GBP NZD, we're going to start on the weekly chart, and you can see we've got this ascending channel pattern giving us the upwards trend in the market. Price is making those higher highs and making those higher lows, and recently we had a test of the lower trend line of that ascending channel. We had a fourth test of it, so we have one here, two there, a third one here, and now we've got a fourth. And we also had a test of the 200 moving average, so we're looking for price to continue to the upside. And on the daily, you can see price found support here, couldn't break it and had that impulsive move to the upside. So now we're looking in a bullish market for GBP/NZD. So we're going to be looking for price to have those pullbacks on the lower time frames and continue to make that move to the upside. Currently it looks like we've had some type of pullback, some correction, and it looks like we could be getting another move to the upside. But of course, if that fails, you could be seeing a deeper pullback. In that case, we'll still be looking for lower time frame entries to continue buying this pair and carry on that move to the upside. Okay, so let's see what's happening with CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY now, we're going to start on the monthly chart for this one. And you can see on the monthly that we've got this trend line on the monthly where price has been respected for quite some time. We've had multiple tests. We have one there, multiple there, more there, more there, and recently we had another one there. So we're expecting price to keep moving from that trend line to the upside. And if we dive in the weekly, you can see that we do have this downwards trend on the weekly with 1, 2, and 3 previous tests of that trend line. So we're expecting price to continue and go and make another test before we could be looking at a downwards move in CAD JPY. But on the daily chart, we are moving sideways still. We were expecting to see a breakout soon. We thought we had a breakout there, but it turns out it was a false breakout, and price goes right back in of that support area. So we're still waiting for that breakout either to the upside or to the downside. If it is to the downside, we could be seeing price go and retest the monthly trend line or these lows down here. And if it is to the upside, we could be seeing price go and test the highs up here, or again go and test that weekly trend line. But we'll still be waiting for the breakout because price is still moving sideways on that daily chart. So just be waiting for that and see what happens next week. Okay, so let's see what's happening with GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD, we're going to start on the monthly and work our way down. So for GBP USD, you can see that we found some support in the area in the market on the monthly time frame around here. Price has been trying to break it and has been failing to do so. So we can see price move away from the support and start a new uptrend in the market. But we do need a break of that weekly trend line. And you can see this trend line is quite strong. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, and now on to our 5th test. So you could be seeing price reject and respect that weekly trend line and make another move to the downside to go retest our monthly support area. Or we can see price go and break it and start that higher that new uptrend on that higher time frame on the monthly. On the daily chart, you can see that we found some resistance in the market around here. You can see that we've got that wick to the upside here and price just plummeted right down. And we're at that same point in the market there, and we've got that engulfing candle. So we could be seeing price make a move to the downside. It could be that price is moving for a pullback just to go and break it to the upside. But we are expecting GBP USD to make that move to the downside. We don't know if it's going to hit these areas down here, but we are expecting a move to the downside as people start to take their profits. And we'll just wait and see to make some entries in the lower time frames like the 4 hour and the 1 hour early next week. And last but not least, GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD, we came up to this area in the market last week and we were expecting to have that reaction. And as you can see that this week we had a move to the downside and we could be seeing a move back up to go test that weekly trend line again. And on the weekly chart, you can see that this trend line has been respected very well with multiple touches and multiple rejections from this trend line. But we are expecting the trend line to break soon. So obviously we don't know when, but you can see price has this daily trend line coming up. So we could be seeing price getting stuck between these two trend lines before breaking to the upside or to the downside. And if we do break to the upside, we could be seeing price going to eventually hit these monthly trend lines. And on the monthly, you can see the trend lines there with multiple touches of the trend lines. So we could be seeing a touch there, but we do have this nice upwards trend line here with multiple touches as well, and price respecting it very well as well. So if we do get a break to the downside, that's where we're expecting price to head. And if it's to the upside, we're expecting price to go ahead to the monthly. But for now, it's unclear. But price is showing signs that it's going to head back to go test this resistance area in the market. And from there, we could potentially be looking for more selling opportunities to take GBP CAD back down to go at least hit that daily trend line or this level here. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a like. If you have any questions or you disagree, make sure you leave a comment, but to the next one, I'll see you later.